You can pray every morning, whisper God's name before you sleep, repeat the same request for years, and still feel as though nothing is moving. The door stays closed, the body still hurts, the money still runs out too quickly, someone you love still hasn't changed. Eventually, a quiet question begins forming underneath all those prayers. Is anyone actually listening? You may never say it out loud, because saying it feels almost disloyal, but the question remains. Maybe you felt it during those heavy moments when prayer stops feeling like connection and starts feeling like shouting into a dark room. Yet, the problem may not be that your prayer is unheard. The problem may be the place inside you from which the prayer is being spoken. Most people pray while staring directly at what's missing. They ask for healing while feeling consumed by sickness. They ask for provision while rehearsing every reason they might not survive. They ask for love while quietly believing they've been forgotten. Their words reach toward hope, but their inner world is still kneeling before fear. And fear has a voice. Even when your mouth says, "God, please help me," your deeper state may be saying, "I don't believe help is coming." Picture someone standing outside a locked house in the middle of winter. They pound on the door, harder and harder, begging to be let in. What they don't realize is that the key has been in their pocket the whole time. More force won't open the door. Louder pleading won't change anything. A different action is required. Prayer can work in a similar way. Many people keep increasing the desperation, believing intensity equals faith, when desperation may actually be the very thing keeping them outside. The prayer frequency most people never reach isn't louder. It isn't more emotional, it's deeper, calmer, almost unsettlingly certain. Every prayer carries two messages. One comes through your words, the other comes through your state. Your words may say, "Bring peace into my life," while your nervous system says, "Something terrible is about to happen." Your words may say, "Guide me," while your mind keeps insisting, "There is no way forward." Your lips form one request, but your inner atmosphere tells another story. And the deeper message usually wins, because your choices, attention, habits, and expectations begin organizing themselves around whatever you truly believe. Think of a radio. You can sit beside it and ask for music all day, but if the dial is fixed on static, asking harder won't produce a song. The signal has to change. Prayer isn't merely a sentence sent upward. It's also a tuning process happening within you. You're tuning your attention, your expectations, and your emotional posture toward a different possibility. When prayer rises from panic, you remain tuned to danger. When it rises from trust, you become available to guidance you couldn't hear before. Same room, same life, different frequency. Ancient spiritual teachings often return to this idea in different language. Scripture warns against anxious asking and points toward prayer joined with thanksgiving. Faith is described not as frantic wishing, but as confidence in what is not yet visible. Trust in God is praised because trust ends the exhausting attempt to control every detail. Even the teaching to ask and believe carries an order. The asking is followed by an inner shift. You don't keep digging up the seed every morning to see whether it's growing. You water it, protect the soil, and allow roots to form where your eyes can't reach. None of this means you have to pretend pain isn't real. Pretending is fragile. It collapses the moment life presses against it. Real spiritual trust looks different. You can admit, "Yes, this hurts," without deciding, "This pain is the final truth of my life." You can acknowledge the empty chair, the medical report, the unanswered email, the uncertainty, and still refuse to build your identity around the absence. Prayer begins to change when you stop using it only to describe the problem and start using it to enter a relationship with the solution. That's where the next level opens, because once fear no longer leads the prayer, gratitude can. Most people understand gratitude as a response. Something good happens, then you say thank you. The bill gets paid, the body begins to recover, the opportunity arrives, The relationship softens. Only then does gratitude feel reasonable. But the prayer frequency most people never reach reverses the order. Gratitude comes first, not as a trick, not as a performance, not as a way to manipulate God. It comes first because gratitude is the posture of someone who trusts that the story is still being written. Imagine planting something in dark soil. For several days, there's no visible proof that anything is happening. The surface looks exactly the same. An impatient person might call the ground empty. A wiser person knows the seed is not absent simply because it's hidden. Gratitude before evidence is like watering that unseen seed. You're saying, growth may be happening beyond what I can currently measure. That simple shift changes how you move through the day. Instead of searching constantly for reasons to be afraid, you start noticing openings, ideas, people, and choices that support the life you've been praying for. There's also something deeply practical happening here. When you give thanks for wisdom, you become more attentive to wise choices. When you give thanks for healing, you're more likely to notice the habits, support, rest, treatment, or courage that healing may require. When you give thanks for provision, your mind becomes less trapped in helplessness and more capable of seeing opportunity. Gratitude doesn't erase action. It improves the quality of action. A frightened mind sees only walls. A trusting mind begins to notice doors, windows, loose bricks, anything that might become a way through. Still, gratitude before evidence can feel strange at first. Part of you may whisper, "But what if nothing changes?" Let that voice speak. Don't fight it. Then answer gently, "I'm not giving thanks because every detail has already unfolded. I'm giving thanks because fear is no longer qualified to lead me." There's a difference. You're not claiming control over every outcome. You're choosing confidence in the presence, wisdom, and goodness of God while the outcome develops. Once gratitude becomes more than a polite sentence, once it becomes an inner way of standing, you're ready for a form of prayer that feels less like begging from a distance and more like speaking from belonging. A child who trusts a loving parent doesn't approach as a stranger trying to earn permission to speak. The child comes close. Sometimes the request is awkward, bold, even a little unreasonable. There's no perfectly crafted speech, just relationship. Many people have learned to pray as though they're approaching a distant ruler who must be convinced to care. Every word is weighed. Every weakness becomes a reason for shame. But prayer changes when you stop seeing yourself as an interruption and start seeing yourself as someone invited into the room. Bold prayer doesn't mean demanding that life obey every preference. It means bringing your whole desire honestly before God without shrinking, performing, or pretending not to care. You can ask for strength, ask for clarity, ask for meaningful work, restored health, greater influence, a peaceful home, deeper purpose, or the right people to enter your life. Speak plainly. There's no holiness in vague language. Yet after asking, loosen your grip. Trust isn't proved by how tightly you hold the outcome. Sometimes the deepest faith sounds like, "Here's what my heart longs for. Guide me toward what is good, and help me recognize the answer when it comes." Then prayer expands beyond you. Something powerful happens when your attention moves toward another person's healing, freedom, peace, or restoration. Your problems don't magically disappear, but they stop being the entire universe. Compassion widens the room. Pray for the friend who can't seem to escape an addiction. Pray for the family carrying grief they don't know how to name. Pray for strangers caught in war, displacement, hunger, or fear. See them not only as victims of the present moment, but as people still capable of encountering help, courage, protection, and unexpected grace. A simple practice can bring all of these elements together. Take a journal and begin with 4 words. Dear God, thank you. Give thanks for what is already present. Name ordinary things, the breath in your lungs, a person who loves you, a roof, a lesson, another morning. Then give thanks for what you're still waiting to see, not as though you're forcing certainty, but as an act of trust. After that, ask boldly for yourself. Finally, ask boldly for others. 10 honest minutes can be enough, not because the number is magical, but because a daily return to gratitude, trust, and compassion gradually retrains the heart. Over time, prayer stops being an emergency button and becomes a place you live from. For the next 30 mornings, don't begin your day by handing fear the microphone. Before the messages, before the news, before your mind starts listing everything that could go wrong, sit down and enter prayer differently. Give thanks for what is here. Give thanks for the good you cannot yet see. Ask clearly, ask courageously, remember others, then rise and live as someone who expects guidance, not someone waiting helplessly for rescue. Watch what begins to change in your attention, your decisions, your relationships, and your ability to recognize doors that were always there.